ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download.
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop. Come on, take me higher. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot. We won't stop.
From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the co-host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it is the closing bell for Wednesday, October 23rd. 8 days till trick-or-treat, 9 days till November 1st and the start of college basketball. And the three-peat for UConn Huskies. Going to be tough this year. A lot of stacked teams out there. Kansas, Houston, Alabama. The Zags up there this year. Creighton again. Big East will be tough as always, but we'll get to that. Don't worry about it. On Friday, actually, 11:05, Adam Trigger at Adam Trigger WT. Go follow him. Great insight. Small schools junkie like myself. And he'll be with us all season long on Friday. So come catch him there. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnerships, of course. Viva Tequila Seltzer. Threw your curveball there. CT Bets, the team, the family, second to none. Head on over. Try a Cuckoo for Coconut, their new beverage there where you have adult beverages. Last night at the Garden, high above courtside, Celtics raised the banner, number 18 on their quest for 19. Me and Riley will get into that, of course. WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play, download the app. It's free. Myself, the rest of that team, the family, Travis, Zach, Amber, Holly, Jay Berry, everyone there, the best in the business. And we are just starting, guys. The rest of 2024, 2025, you want to head on over to WagerWire. Follow them as well. Last but not least, Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Terry Smith. Jump on over to Facebook. Follow Terry Smith while you're there. Head on over to Atlanta Steak and Seafood. Place an order. Any box of seafood. Last week and this week, it is Seafood Month. Use the promo code Seafood20 and take $20 off. That is lobster tails, that is sea bass, that is salmon, etc., etc., etc. Introduce you to Terry Smith. Tell him JD from ECSI sent you. Without further ado, my co-host, Mr. Riley Magnuson. What's up, champ?
What is up, my friend? Happy to be back after a little day off on my part there yesterday. Dipped our toes into the, as far as viewing into the NBA yesterday, and we've got a handful more today. I know a little early for some folks for the NBA, and Curious if we get some changes going forward in the NBA. I'm sure we'll get into that. But good week going on. We've got some football around the corner, a couple of games tonight. But unless you're really itching for some football action, it's not the most must-watch TV on the college football slate tonight. But you got a one game I think of NHL and a handful of NBA games. So. I don't know that we'll have too many looks as far as the NBA tonight. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but maybe we go on a little NBA conversation, a little NFL conversation. Who knows? It's an interesting day of sports and just kind of setting us up for the rest of the week here and weekend.
Shout out to Mr. Berry, of course, Sports Highlights, and Mr. Billy Hewlin. Long time no chat. I sent that thing on Facebook that came up 4 years ago with you in your new place with the ECSI shirt, smiling from ear to ear. Long time. We need to catch up soon. Hug the bride for me. Tell Rebecca the East Coast says hello. If you listen to me, and credit where it's due, Mr. Brady Tinker, if you listen to our shows, if you saw the writing on the wall here, the trades in the NFL, the wide receivers moving, Devontae Adams to the Jets, Amari Cooper to the Bills. Well, if you listen to our show, I said it 6 weeks ago. Brady Tinker said it. During free agency, DeAndre Hopkins spent a lot of time in Kansas City and deciding did he want to go there or did he want to go to the Titans. He eventually went to the Titans. Brady Tinker made it real clear. He says, the injury to Rashee Rice gone all this year, and when he's back next year after about 4 weeks, he'll be activated. The NFL is going to swoop in and hit him with a 6-8 game suspension. So his next year is almost totally gone. The reason Kansas City wanted D-Hop is not just for his veteran leadership, but it's an insurance policy on Rashee Rice. They get him today via trade. For this year, and I think he's got 1 more year on the contract. Dots of D-Hop now running out of Tennessee saying, give me Mahomes.
He couldn't get out of there faster, and it's going to be an interesting move. I don't know that it's the most no doubt. This elevates them that much. It does make them better. I don't want it to sound like it doesn't, but I think if you get a motivated and ready to try and win a championship D-Hop, that is what could be dangerous because we obviously have seen him in the last couple of years. I'm not speaking to his character necessarily, but kind of not really playing for anything and not really obviously very happy with the offensive situation. Now, like you said, you get the best quarterback in the world and an undefeated team, Super Bowl defending champs. He's going to probably be pretty juiced up to get out there and catch the balls there. So I think it helps him a lot. And obviously, like you said, the insurance policy, with all not only just Rashee Rice, but obviously some of the injuries that they've sustained. So and not to mention you got Travis Kelce, who's starting to play a little better, but not quite. The Travis Kelce that we've known for the last 5 to 10 years, whatever it is now. So I think they had to maybe they didn't have to do something, but to go aggressive, especially when you're not giving up more than it's conditional 4th round, so I don't know what the conditions are, but when you're really not giving up more than a 3rd or 4th rounder, to get a guy who at one point was a top 5 receiver in the NFL that just hasn't been in great situations. It's a gamble, and it's not a huge gamble, but a gamble that you could get a guy that could be back to looking like a top 10 receiver if he's motivated and ready to roll here.
Well, you said something very interesting. Catching balls. If you want hands, what do we remember of Kansas City last year? Sky Moore dropping balls picked off, right into the breadbasket, dropping right into for interceptions there. They have a list of guys that can run from here to Mars and back.
Yeah.
I mean, speedsters that just can't catch the ball. You want hands. You got him with D-Hop, and I think he'll be razor focused after going through the process the last couple of years in Tennessee. In comes Mahomes, a veteran. You saw him over in Arizona catching balls from Murray. This is going to be like a second or third reborn here. Again, now, is he Devontae Adams? No, I'm not saying he is. Is he Amari Cooper? No, but each team got who they wanted. And when the dust settles here, that's who Kansas City wanted. They wanted Dion.
Right, and I don't think we're going to see the Houston Texans D Hop, but make no mistake, that guy was an absolute maniac and an absolute monster, and was, if he wasn't on that top tier of receivers, he was damn near close. So, like you said, if you're getting a resurged D Hop, I mean, I'd take him over resurged D Hop over Amari Cooper in most cases there. So there's a chance that this could be really, really dangerous. I'm interested to see how it goes. And like you said, they've got plenty of other options to fill the role that they're looking for outside of that one guy, the possession type guy. So I think it's going to work out, and I think he's going to be ready to go and putting up some, not 150 yards a game, but good numbers for the most part here, and maybe a handful of touchdowns as well.
It's funny because the Rams now are quote unquote ready for a fire sale. I'm hearing the Vikings, who the Rams play tomorrow night, are in deep, deep thoughts with Matthew Stafford. Now I'm hearing Cooper Kupp, who's coming back this week, is available. And I'm hearing the big, big favorite is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, in 2017, I won 2 national titles in fantasy football. I had Cooper Kupp in diapers. He was on my roster, on one of my rosters. Now it's 2025. If I remember correctly, I think he's coming on the age of 33. He's been injured the last couple of years. Steelers all of a sudden reborn. Russell Wilson, primetime game, just mopped the floor with the Jets. Pickens is now alive. Are you buying Cooper Kupp to the Steelers?
He is, so just double check, 31 years old, and he's got a couple more years under contract after this year. So, whoever, if he does move, you're not just getting a rental, you're getting him locked down. It's interesting. If they win tomorrow night, they're not a great team, obviously. They're not you might even say they're not a good team, even when he's back. But if they win tomorrow, the interesting thing is they're only a game out of their division, especially with the way the Niners are playing. Seattle's 4-3. So if they win tomorrow and find a way to win tomorrow against a good Vikings team, which obviously they're underdogs for, they're kind of back in this thing, at least for this season. But, if they don't want to be in that, kind of constant 8 to 10 win range max, then maybe they do have to go and do something. I'd be interested. I'm kind of leaning towards they don't do this fire sale, but I think if you do it, you kind of got to really go for it. And, Pittsburgh is one. I obviously haven't been hearing of it, but I think Baltimore would be an interesting fit for Cooper Kupp as well, especially if you get them trying to take him away from their division rival, obviously, in a year like this. So, I'm interested. I'll say no Steelers. I'm going to go with the wild card Cooper Kupp to the Ravens. But if he does get traded, that's a wild card. But I will go and say he does not get traded. Stafford does not get traded. Maybe they even win tomorrow and try to make a run still at the division this year.
Well, and then I heard the Eagles. I'm like, guys, what do you guys need? You got A.J. Brown. You got Devonta Smith. You brought over someone I thought was pretty damn good from Washington. Why am I drawing a brain fart here from Penn State? Who's done nothing? Zero. The wide receiver.
Dotson.
Jahan Dotson. Oh, my God. It's like driving a 72 Dotson right now. He must have really pissed someone off there. So we talked on Monday. Hats off. Another player prop that you cashed over there. Hold on 1 second here. Okay, that was Sports Grid. 8:32 tonight, guys. Anyone watching? I will be on Sports Grid with, of course, Mr. Wetzel and Mr. Sharp at 8:32 to 8:42 talking NBA. I got a few player props to go over there. Anyways, I say very simply the Jeff Dawson top 3 in the NFL right now as we speak. I'm going Lions, Ravens, and Kansas City. Well, Jeff, Kansas City already beat them. I know that, and I know they're 6-0. I've said this all along. I see Kansas City. The road through the AFC goes through Kansas City, and I'm just replaying last year's tape with a different finish, meaning it was the Chiefs beating the Bengals at home, then traveling, beating Buffalo, and then of course go into the Ravens. This Ravens team is scary.
Yeah.
The way they're playing right now, I think O. Henry sitting on the sideline for the first half touched the ball 4 times, and he's like, "All right, guys, what am I doing here?" Everyone's like, "Is he sick? What's going on?" And then the second half breaks off 2 big runs. But I'm just saying right now, I mean, the AFC with Kansas City, with the Ravens, with the Bills. Oh, and let's not forget about Joe Cool and the Bengals, who are not. I know their defense is bad right now, but they're not. They're the one team that is not afraid of Mahomes.
Right. And that offense is playing really well. If that Bengals team, if their defense a little better, a couple of those games go their way, Joe Burrow would be as much in this MVP conversation as maybe just behind Lamar Jackson at this point. I mean, they're playing fantastic offensively. To your point, their defense has been bad, so I'm not ruling them out. I don't see them, barring any transactions, I don't see their defense really getting to a level that, like you said, maybe they, I'm not saying they can't beat Kansas City. I could see them losing to somebody else as well. But the year that they did go to the Super Bowl, the first handful of games in the season, their defense didn't look great either. And then they found something that clicked, and that was kind of the difference between them rolling. So I think we could see a little bit better defense from them in the future here. Will it be enough at the end of the day? I don't know. But, no, I'm with you. And, Houston's obviously banged up. I still put them below, obviously, Kansas City, Baltimore, and at least those 2 teams there, maybe closer to the Bills there. So I'm with you on those top 3 teams. Obviously, the other teams in the NFC North would like to have a say, but I'm with you. With the way the Lions offense is playing right now, I'm putting them at the top of that division right now as well. As well as the NFC itself. The Niners obviously not looking great. Playoff chances in jeopardy as we speak right now. Washington's defense not good enough to be in that conversation by any means. Eagles obviously looked better the other day, but still got a long way to go. So I think you're spot on with the top 3 there. And I think it's I guess I don't know that it would be a landslide for me. I do like obviously I'm biased with my Packers as far as you get a couple tweaks in there, and they're in that conversation as well. But no, I'm with you. And that Ravens team, I think they've got 2 losses. They had a fluke loss, in my opinion, to the Raiders, but I think they're the best team in the NFL, despite the Chiefs as 6-0. I mean, they're a toenail away in Week 1 from beating the Chiefs. I know people are going to look at me crazy for that, but that offense is devastating right now with Derrick Henry. Like you said, they can do so much, and obviously, they got to stick to their game plan once they do get to that point. But Derrick Henry, especially, I mean, you and I talked about earlier in the season of, he was starting to get along a little bit, and it's like, man, he's already looking good. And you talk about how hard he's going to be to tackle in December and January when it's 10 degrees out in some of these places, man. I mean, that is going to be an absolute nightmare. I as a fan of it, I cannot wait to watch it in some of these places that they're going to play. So I'm with you. Lamar Jackson. Looking like the MVP. I'm surprised. I'm actually kind of surprised that Derrick Henry's not getting. Obviously, you got Lamar Jackson putting up big numbers, but I'm surprised he's 40-1. I'm surprised he's not getting a little more love as far as MVP right now with the numbers he's putting up.
And spot on, by the way, on your Packers and that division. And I think you were real spot on here. Let's hold off on the Rams fire sale. It comes down to Thursday because that division is so banged up. I mean, you look, Ayuk now is gone for the year. Debo is out of the hospital. Is he playing this week? I don't know. In comes Cowling. In comes Juwan Jennings. CMC back after their bye. We don't know what's going on there. Seattle, great running back with Walker. Geno Smith, serviceable. DK now injured. Is he playing this Sunday? Njigba is kind of slowed down there. Arizona, again, walk-off field goal against the Chargers, which cost me one of my local pools. Thank you very much there. But you can't have 5 field goals from Dicker, the kicker there, and not score 1 red zone touchdown. Now, again, they've had their bye. The Chargers will be okay there. But my point is, I think the season is on the line for the Rams here. Yeah. And I love your Packers. I really, really do. Philly, there's something still wrong there. Yeah. We do know that. Minnesota, let's see what happens here on Thursday. And now the Bears coming off the bye week. But with all the injuries and now all the moving pieces, before we transition here, if you're the Lions, I reached out to my Lion guy. He said, Jeff, they're looking to Cincinnati. They don't know if Cincinnati's going to sell. They got their eyes on a couple defensive guys on Cincinnati, but I don't think they paid the ransom for Max Crosby. But I'm going to throw a name at you. They lost Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah.
What do you think of the Lions going for Myles Garrett?
If I would be terrified for that as a Packers fan, my friend. No, I mean, I think if you can get those guys, there's certain guys, Crosby, Myles Garrett, where if you have the capital, get them, and you're in the spot that the Lions are, why not go and get them, man? I if I'm a Lions fan, I'm asking for that for sure. That would be horrific and would be very scary. That would be. If they're not already the easy favorite in the NFC, that would vaunt them by far the favorite in the NFC there. And last thing before we transition, I agree with you completely. If they lose to the Vikings tomorrow night, I don't know if they have a fire sale necessarily, but the season kind of comes down to it. They've got the Seahawks with obviously the Rams having extra rest. They got the Seahawks next week. They go on a 2-game little win streak. They're in first place in the division as we're talking about a fire sale here, which is the crazy part. Could they lose both those games? Of course, but in 10 days, we could be talking about this team as the favorite to win this division, for God's sakes.
And I did the same fire sale with the Mets, and they end up going to the NLCS. So maybe that was a good thing. Mr. McVay, if you're listening, maybe this is the pep talk that you needed from the ECSI Sports Network here. All right, let's transition. Banner number 18, hoisted to the top of the garden as the TNT or TBS, whoever it was, goes to a commercial before it even got to the top of the banner. In come the New York Knicks. Cat in town, the second favorite on some shops to win it all, behind the Celtics, who were like 3.5 to 1, and the next closest was 7 or 8 to 1. The Celtics go on this shooting spree. Per coach, we're shooting more threes, he said, this year. And they couldn't miss. And they were tied with the record with 9 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. They proceed to miss 13 threes the rest of the quarter. Guys, and I'm saying this tongue-in-cheek, so don't take me serious here. Why play the season? It's over. Duck boats parade, banner 19. I mean, the Celtics are hands down the best team in the NBA. And if I hear one more damn time, Jason Tatum slighted because he didn't get to play a lot in the Olympic Games. Jaylen Brown slighted. These guys got chips on their shoulders. We will hear this for 82 games, Riley. I've heard enough.
We will. No, we will, and especially with the way they played last night, Tatum himself especially obviously put fuel to that fire the way he played there. So it's going to be hard for anyone in the East to do anything against them. I think there could be some teams in the West that could give them some trouble. And it's obviously hard to repeat in any sport. Basketball, maybe basketball being, I'm not saying it's easy, but the easiest of the four to repeat potentially, I would say, if you had to choose one. But as far as the East is concerned, I obviously I'm not saying the Knicks are hopeless after one night. I'm not saying that. Don't want to put too much stock into into things until January as far as where these teams are necessarily. The Thunder, as far as odds, I think I saw it. I did see other books that had the Knicks as number 2. The one and a couple other that I was looking at, and still now OKC as the number 2 favorite behind the Celtics there. So that's obviously a big development to watch. And I'm actually drawing a blank if they play or not tonight. But SGA and not only SGA, but Chet Holmgren, I think his progression is a big part of that. And you got my guy Caruso going over there. So no, it's going to be scary if the Celtics are motivated, because you get a lot of teams that win the championship that aren't ready to roll, especially out of the gates, especially after some of these guys play in the Olympics. So if they feel slighted by the Olympics, then things are going to be scary. But like you said, I'm going to have to avoid it after a couple weeks if we just keep hearing this slighted talk. But as far as the MVP conversation is going to go, if he's shooting 90% or whatever the heck it was last night, he's obviously going to be the NBA or the MVP favorite there. So curious to see where if they have any hiccups, any lulls, any kind of, I'm sure they will have a lull and a spot where, we're kind of scratching our head and what's wrong, and then they'll figure it out at some point. So I think it's going to be hard to unseat them as one seed in the East this year, though.
Well, and they had the dream run. I'm not going through the dream run and breaking down who was hurt. Everyone's hurt. I mean, just look at the Sixers. They can't even get Embiid or Paul George in, and the Bucks already. Middleton out, Kawhi out. The list is so stupid. Load management in the NBA. And I remember a handful of years ago, the Savior was coming to town, Gordon Hayward, and like 6 minutes in, that's when he snapped his ankle on the baseline. So again, the health, the unicorn out probably till the All-Star break, but as long as Tatum and Brown are healthy, they got enough pieces. Derek White, of course, they got Holiday, they got now the emergence of Pritchard. I mean, they're fine. And guys, we try to educate here. And guys, you don't need me, Riley, or anyone ECSI to tell you the two bananas in the tailpipes yesterday. The tweet was so simple. LeBron 0-6 opening game as a Laker, and oh my God, in comes Ant and Minnesota. And the fact is they were 1.5 point favorites. Of course, the Lakers box to wire win that game. And the prop of the day, Bronny's under/over was a 0.5 point. Now that means a free throw. That means a technical. That means a dunk. That means a follow-up. That means garbage time. And of course, Bronny scores 0. Okay, so you don't need us for that. You should have known the Lakers were going to win and Bronny wasn't going to score.
Right. No, that one is goofy. I more power to you if you are going that route. But I'm curious to see if we get that posted, because I'd be curious over under a half a minute in his upcoming games, and I might take the under. But what was I just going to go towards? No, as far as you and I have talked about this since we've been doing shows together, and we'll talk about it until they do something about it. I think eventually they have to do something about it. But when you have a star player who's one of arguably the top 5 players in the game come out before the season starts, and when you already have this load management problem, saying that he's not going to play back-to-back games, I mean, what are we doing? Change the schedule, cut the games down a little bit, take away back-to-backs, because I mean, obviously there's guys that have been doing this for a few years now, but when you have one of the best players saying that he's not going to do it, I guess for the fans' sake, it's better than not saying anything and just you're wondering when you and your kids are going to the game that night if your favorite player is even going to be active or not. It's better than I suppose. What we laugh about every year of we break down a game, and then as we close out the game, we say, well, that's the breakdown for now, but in an hour we might figure out that so and so is out of this game. So it is, I guess, I'd take that poison over that. But the NBA has been good at adapting, eventually at least, to some of their issues over the last decade with Adam Silver. So I think something has to give. But I know a lot of the guys that I watched growing up. I know Shaq and Barkley roasted him last night. I know I think it was last night. I know Kevin Garnett had some words for it too. So something has to change, and I agree that if you got to take away the back-to-backs, that's fine. Maybe they don't take away cut it from 82 to 72 or 65. I don't know. But if you do that, that just puts more emphasis and more desire to watch some of these regular season games and puts more weight on these games. Because you said, why do we even play this season? Which obviously you said tongue in cheek, but at the same time, when you got so many of these stars sitting out and you're penciling in half of these teams into the playoffs anyways, that obviously we're not saying why do we play the season, but something has to change to make the regular season more valuable. Because I love watching basketball, but it is so hard to watch when you have stars just opting out for a random night or just not playing for long stretches of time when they're, yes, it's, load management and it's a long season, but at the end of the day, if you're healthy, get the hell out there, man.
Yeah, and when the NBA Finals goes till June, and then in July they're playing in Paris because they got to play in the Olympics, and next thing you know, you're into August and they're already in camps in September. Oh, actually, I forgot the Summer League, going on in, when you have a window, and it was brought up, hey, start the season on Christmas Day, shorten it to 62 games or 60 games, and you got that beautiful window at the All-Star break when the playoffs should be going through July and August, and you can wrap it up when football starts. But it makes too much sense. But of course, the almighty dollar, we can't lose 2 games, but they can make up this in-game season tournament, which LeBron wins the first one and he's hugging it like, oh my God, it's the Holy Grail. I mean, it's all propaganda, it's all money, it's all bullshit. As you said, the league's investigating the Philadelphia 76ers now and Embiid. Why don't you call the guy who started this? Why don't you call Pop? He's already got the blueprint. Who's the one that started it a million years ago? And Kawhi's still running from it, from the Raptors to this team to that team, and he's just cashing checks. So enough of that. I want it, big board. I want you to start. The board is yours, but pick and choose. But I want you to go right to New Orleans with your Chicago Bulls. Right now, New Orleans opened up 6.5-point favorites with a 222.5. Some money coming in on your Bulls down to 5.5. The total went from 222.5 to 226.5. So they're betting the over in the Bulls right now in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm interested that these two teams are playing each other because these are two teams that I'm always going to be talking about the Bulls. But as far as this game tonight is concerned, I don't hate the Bulls in this game to at least cover this one. But you know me, with I've been a Pelican supporter the last couple of years, with the asterisks of when they are healthy, which obviously they are not always healthy, and who is not always healthy. This is a dark horse team to crash some parties, again, with the asterisks of if they are healthy, my friend, and I know you're going to laugh at that because they were a couple of games away, 2 games behind the 4 seed from hosting a playoff series, and then obviously they find themselves in the 7 seed, and they whoop the Lakers, and Zion goes down. So had that not happened, and then they get swept in 4 games by the Thunder, so people aren't really taking them as seriously as what the best version of this team could be. So if it's because you think Zion and company is not going to be healthy, then I can absolutely agree, hear what you're saying there. But if they are healthy, this Pelicans team is probably going to go over their 46.5, probably going to win a playoff series and be potentially a party crasher here. So that is it for that. They've got a good team. Brandon Ingram, Zion, obviously really, really good there. So my Bulls, though, 28.5 on the win total, Jeff. Kind of to me, for a team that obviously will lose DeMar DeRozan, but now that kind of frees up some of the other playmakers to hold the ball a little bit more, or not hold the ball, but have the ball a little bit more. 28.5 to me, though, my friend, sounds like a potential, I don't know if fire sale is the right word, but a dumping of some certain players and contracts near the trade deadline. Because that team, you've been able to pencil them in the last few years here at 35 to 40 wins. So to see that for a team who's been consistently in the high 30s, if not into the low 40s of wins, really indicates to me that this team is not going to be the same team that we see in March. As far as that is concerned. So, whether that be Zach LaVine, who Mr. LeBron is a fan of going over that way, or some value finding, or a team finding value in Vooch, I don't know. But that was kind of when I saw that number, that was kind of my take, is that this somebody, 1 or 2, if not more, guys are getting traded here. So, with the 5.5 tonight, though, I think they've got a good chance of covering tonight and having a good game there tonight, though. Would you agree, though, that 28.5 is kind of suggesting that this team might not be together for full season here?
Well, we've been talking for 2 years, obviously, about Zach LaVine, who you're going to move him to, number one. You talked about DeRozan, but I think that number, honestly, what happens if you come out of the gates hot and you know who, Mr. Mello, Mr. Ball, is actually healthy and running this train. And I'm telling you right now, I know your owner and your GM usually sleeping at the wheel here, but if we get out to a 10-2 start and this guy looks like the old Ball, that guy is on a bus, he's on a moped somewhere, because I'm getting him the hell out of Dodge right away.
Yeah, getting as much value as you can. Yeah, that's a good point too. And owner, yes, I'm with you. GM, I'm still. It's they've been in this front office roles for a bit now. I think we've talked. They are very stingy as far as not taking 60, 70 cents on the dollar for their assets. So that they've moved very few players other than obviously Caruso being the biggest one recently here. So if people are paying for their assets, they'll take them. So. Yeah, this team's not going to be around for the full season, I don't think here. So it's going to be interesting. Not to mention half the city of Chicago is going to struggle to watch the Bulls and Blackhawks because the new Chicago Sports Network doesn't have deals with anyone other than DirecTV. But that's a story for my neck of the woods, my friend, or a rant for my neck of the woods. Got to bust out my antenna to get the game tonight. So. Other than that, Pacers-Pistons is an interesting one. This Pistons team has been one that I've tried to hop on the bandwagon and fuel them before the season starts these last couple of years. 25.5 on their season win total. Pacers 46.5 for what it's worth. But Pistons, still that young team that has really gotten the short straw in the draft lottery these last couple of years. Got obviously the first pick a few years ago with Cade Cunningham. Got someone 2 years ago, I think now, Jaden Ivey, who I really like. But a couple times now, 2 or 3 out of the last 3-4 years, obviously, getting the short end of the stick with being one of the worst teams in the league and not being in the top 3 of the draft. So that has been unfortunate for them. Not able to, without being able to accrue that extra talent. Not building out the rest of the roster, not really a free agent destination right now. So I still really like Cade Cunningham as a potential leader of a team here, and I got to keep going with it. I think this will be the third year in a row I go for their season win total over, and I'll go again. But not expecting them to take a huge jump here, my friend. I do think they'll be a better and more competent and not a total pushover, but they still just don't have enough depth here. So 5.5 in this one as well. You got a lot of 5 and 6s in these NBA games tonight. And this Pacers team is obviously kind of that under the radar, really solid team. That's not obviously on anyone's radar to win an NBA championship or go to an NBA championship. But like I said, 46.5 on their team total. You're penciling them as a solid team for the most part here, barring any injury. So I'll lean towards the Pistons in this one to be a little frisky. But like I said, I've gotten biased with my love of Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey at this point.
Well, the funny is, don't forget the Pacers had that game won in Boston. I was at that game. They had it won and dribbled off his foot, and next thing you know, Celtics tie and they win it in overtime. Could have changed the whole series here. And I'm going to bring up the board for a second because I'm seeing some overnight numbers and some big flops here. So everyone watching and listening, grab your pen and pencils here. I'm going to tell you some big flips on some spreads, obviously due to injury, and some overnight moves on the under-overs. And again, these are called corrections. And the NBA is the most volatile sport for big-time players being scratched. And when you run to the window because LeBron and Anthony Davis are out, these numbers are already baked in. So when they do the final move, you're like, Jesus, this is the number. Now Anthony Davis and LeBron are out. Oh, geez, sign me up for the other team. And then, of course, you get the banana in the tailpipe. And we might as well start this now, the Tankapalooza, because Cooper Flagg, if you haven't seen this kid play, he's at Duke. I'm not calling him Wemby, okay? Right. But this kid's got generational talent, hands down, will be the number 1 pick here. So when some of these teams start the season real slow and then they trade a piece or two, like let's say your Bulls get out a little slow, but someone wants Ball, someone wants Vuk, someone wants DeRozan, whatever it is. Shit, you had a 28.5. I'll take the 18.5 and the number 1 pick, and I'll restart this with Cooper Flagg. How's that sound?
Yeah, sign me up for any type of change, massive change like that, my man. Yeah, like you said, it's a great point. People probably aren't thinking of the Bulls like that, but like you said, they get off to a slow start, they dump all these assets. I'm with you. And the Pistons could be in that category again if they get into that slow start. They're dying for a top 3 pick, for God's sakes, but I know their fans are tearing their hair out for that. Before we move on to another game, I'll go with a long, at least by the odds, a long shot for most improved player. and potentially the X factor of this team going to the next level, the Pacers. I'll go Ben Mathurin, 80-1 for most improved player. How about that? Has been kind of around 15 points per game these last couple of years. I am a big fan of his. And if he goes to another level, then this team gets a lot more scarier for a lot of these teams here.
Well, we've been waiting for it, and your eyes have been spot on. We'll be doing NBA talk throughout the whole year, obviously, here. Some of those big moves here. Let me just use the eye test here. There was a couple. Okay, obviously, Milwaukee at Philly. Overnight, Philly -4.5 with the 225. Now Philly with a 4. Obviously, that's the Embiid news there. Cleveland, Toronto. Overnight, Cleveland 3.5, now 6.5. The under over was 218.5, now 225.5. So a 7-point move towards the over there. Charlotte at Houston, 234.5 overnight, now 229. So a 5-point move to the under there. Phoenix at LA, Clippers, overnight, Clippers -1. Now Phoenix -5 at the Circa. And Golden State and Portland. Golden State overnight 3.5, now 7 at the Circa. Here's the other thing there, 226.5 to the over, now 221 to the under, Riley.
No, it's an interesting. These moves are interesting. I mean, you and I kind of talked off scene. It's tough to get into these first night of games. You don't know who's rusty, who's ready to go. So it can be tough to get into these games. I was trying to pull something else up here, but yeah, no, especially these totals. There might not be a lot of defense in some of these games either. So I'll go my other pick for most improved, 40-1, Brandon Miller. How about that? Obviously, Wemby is the favorite, and if he goes to another level, then you can kind of pencil him in as most improved potentially there. But with potential injuries and guys kind of usually coming out of the woodwork with some of these most improved spots. I'll go. Those are my two, at least by the odds, the long shots for my most improved there. Mathurin and Brandon Miller there.
Can you pull up the numbers on San Antonio? What is their win total? What are their odds to make the playoffs?
Yes. Where are they at for win total? They are 36.5 over under on the win total. To make the playoffs, that would probably put them plus money for sure. But I was looking at this. Why don't I 350 plus 350 to make the playoffs? Which I think that doesn't count the play-in. That's to get through the play-in and be in the top 8, the actual series. Yep.
They're that one player away. Now, whether they do it via trade, obviously I expect Wemby to make that next jump up there. Again, I'd like to see them in the playoffs, but again, if there was a drastic injury and they get into that lottery, very dangerous as well. What is like a Wemby MVP odds? That's got to be through the roof as well.
Let me pull that up. I was just looking. The most improved odds he's the favorite. It's 7-1 for most improved, 17-1 for MVP.
So you either push all in on the Spurs or you hope that they poop the bed one more time, like the Pistons have done the last couple of years.
And should be noted, he's -170 to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, exactly. And I saw some clips of him. And it's getting kind of scary. I think he needs one more year of seasoning. But again, I'm not pushing the Cooper on them. But if they ever got the #1 spot there with Miller and Wemby, look out.
Yep. Last interesting one. To be first team All-NBA, he's plus 650, actually.
I know there's a lot of names. And you brought up Tatum, by the way, for the MVP. That's the one thing he didn't get. He didn't get the Eastern Conference MVP. He didn't get the NBA Finals MVP. That's the one thing right there that the NBA looking to move someone in as the poster child. Again, that's the one piece of hardware he's missing right now.
And he might be more hell-bent on doing that than, certain games this year, especially the way he looked last night. He is 850 Tatum for the MVP, the fourth best odds there behind Jokic, SGA, and Luka. Giannis, I'll go a little. If we're just doing that, I'll go a little Giannis resurgence. And 12-1 on Giannis for a kind of back to what we saw a couple years ago. Some crazy numbers from him. How about that?
Sounds good to me. Anything else in the NBA board that fancies you to start the quote unquote real opening night?
Let's see. Nothing too crazy. Magic and Heat. The Magic, which I was on, as far as being I was that was one of the teams. Obviously, I was wrong about the Pistons, but was right these last couple of years as far as the Magic's progression. People are really expecting them to take another jump up here with another year of Bankroll. I think they're going to be good. Kind of pumping the brakes on the ceiling that people are giving them. They are in Miami tonight though as short dogs. Miami obviously has been a wild card these last few years. So I'll go Miami kind of holding things down at home against this Magic team that I think is a trendy short underdog there. Let's see here. That was the one I was most interested in talking about. Then the Suns and Clippers. Suns on the road. Curious to see. Everyone's selling the Clippers stock with no Paul George, no Kawhi for God knows how long. And the Suns team is desperate for a bounce back season here. So I think people are going to be expecting the Suns. Wouldn't surprise me if the Suns got out to a little slow start. I think we'll see better from the Suns. I was in the camp of they will keep everyone and try again. But they're on the clock, and they've got to have some urgency here. Otherwise, it's going to be an absolute failure if they don't have 48 or more wins here and are a top 4 seed in this Western Conference. So they better have some sense of urgency in Phoenix this year.
No, I like where your eyes are on Orlando. I really do. You talked about the Pacers. Don't sleep on the Pacers. They had a great year last year. They lost to the Lakers in that in-game tournament. They gave the Celtics a run for their money there. Again, a team that can score with the best of them. A little lack on the defensive side there, so it'll be interesting there. I like Orlando to take that next step up. I don't know what you're going to get, obviously, from Philly, from Milwaukee. The Knicks are the team, other than the Celtics, I think, to beat. I think they'll be a tough out. Last night was they raised the banner. Most teams poop the bed, or the Celtics got a chip on their shoulder. So anyone that comes into the Garden, look out, because they got chips on their shoulder, blah, 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 blah. So it is what it is there. One game in hockey. Philadelphia travels to Washington. This is a little, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't Washington in Philly last night? And Washington beat Philly? The whole league played in the frozen frenzy, and there's one game tonight. Did they play each other
You
last
are
night?
Capitals. Yeah, you're correct. It was in Philly, though. Yeah. Maybe you said that. Yep.
So Washington off to a hot start. Opened up minus 140 last night with a 6 under. Now 137. I keep an eye on Philly here, plus 125 for a little popcorn there. Their team total over 2.5 is 2 juice there. Washington team total 3.5 juiced under minus 135. So what I say to you guys very simply, if you want to play the hot hand and you like the Capitals tonight and you don't want to lay the 137, go get plus 115 with the Capitals team total over 3.5. Closing thoughts, sir.
Closing thoughts. Enjoy. Again, say it at the beginning of every sport of every season. If you're a diehard fan of these sports, don't blow your cash all on night one, because obviously the last night was night one. But you got your league pass and you got 8 games at once. I'm sure you're going to be diving into it. But it is hard to predict the first week of the NBA season. Honestly, it might be, for me, the hardest. I have stretches in the NBA where I have a lot of success, and the first couple of weeks in the season is not that point. So it is very, very hard to predict. And as we go on past this tonight, you're going to have some random guys that don't play. So dip your toes lightly into the NBA. Have your fun if you'd like to, but don't be putting a 10-team parlay or 8 different straights because you think you have an edge on something tonight. It's a long season. There are plenty of times it's a little more predictable and a little easier to figure out what's going on with some of these teams. getting into some momentum. There's going to be some teams that are top 4 teams in either of these conferences that start off horrifically here these next couple of weeks probably here. So take everything with a grain of salt and tread lightly on the NBA to start things off this month here, my friends.
8:32 again. I will be on Sports Grid TV with the likes of Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan. We're going to talk some NBA. I have a handful of props to give them, a couple team totals to take a look at for the late night games there. Tomorrow morning, 11 a.m., Paul Stone will be talking college football and from 11 to 11:30 there. And then at 3 o'clock, the return to the Octagon, UFC 308 in Abu Dhabi. Lou Finicaro will be back as always on Thursday to talk shop there. 5 o'clock, Ron Marlewski will be in the house talking college and NFL. And Scotty Webb will be back at 6:15 to break down the World Series. Currently, the Dodgers -130 and the Yankees +110. As Riley mentioned, just take it slow, guys. If you want to put together your $5, $10, 28-legged parlays in the NBA tonight, God bless you. Just don't go over your skis. A week from now will be the 30th. That'll be my daughter's 26th birthday. Happy birthday, Caitlin. Next week, I'll wish her again next Wednesday. Thursday, trick or treat and Halloween, and next Friday, November 1st, and the start of college hoop. That is when all the sports come together. So be ready here. It's right around the corner. There'll be about 150 college basketball games. I'll be back on Mr. Pomeroy's site, checking that out there. So everyone get ready there. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Riley Magnuson at Riley_Magnuson, the one. Shout out to Mr. Berry. Shout out to Billy Hewlin, Mr. Lucky, of course, everyone else watching and listening. Thank you guys so much. Enjoy yourselves. Have an evening. We'll see you soon.